In this episode of Create Space and Trains, we build a star-studying megabase, an automatic quarry, and much more, all on our quest to explore the solar system. In the last episode, we left off with an elder villager's legendary tale of a lost space explorer. To validate their claims, we pick up where we left off in episode 1 on around day 130. I started by trading with a wandering trader for dripstones. I left the trader and their llamas trapped for later and went to work on a cobblestone generator. This will be one of the most important machines that we build in this episode. Except this cobblestone generator is improved with create mechanics to work at 6 times the speed of a normal generator, working at the maximum of 256 RPMs, powered by a small steam engine. Once that was done printing, I risked my life for iron out of desperation since we barely had any. I then designed an iron farm in a separate creative world and ended up going with a very basic wooden design since that's about the extent of our current building materials. After letting the cannon print out the iron farm, I realized I messed up part of it and had to rebuild, and then got some name-tagged zombies up into the farm and finished the bottom collection area. We now had a nice income of iron that is probably one of the most important farms that we could make. I then printed out a bulk smelter that uses a mechanical fan to blast and smoke items. And I thought I should just mention these can also be used for bulk washing and haunting. After that, I started to dig out the main nether portal area in the nether to make more room inside. I then set the small amount of netherrack in the new smelter and went to start the next project. The next project I planned to build was a quarry, so I set out to an area just across the river from the factory to clear some trees with a mechanical saw. This quarry will allow us to collect resources a lot easier. After placing basic redstone controls, it was working just fine. I also placed a temporary walkway since I will build a bigger and better 3-axis quarry later on. After just one 4x5 block chunk down to bedrock, we effectively collected every block in that chunk. While I was here, I let the drill mine the obsidian that I needed to make another nether portal here at the new quarry. Speaking of nether portals, I went back into the nether to connect the new portal to the main area with this nice nether brick tunnel. Once that was done, I headed back to the overworld and started to place a stone cover over the river that runs between these two land masses. After smelting the stone needed for the cover, I let the schematic cannon print it all out until it ran out of gunpowder. I then went to collect all of the wheat in the automatic wheat farm for bread and built another smelter near the first one, but with water instead for washing items. I hopped over to the creative world again to design a new and improved 3-axis quarry. I made it compact, extremely light on resources, and made of stone, something we already have loads of. The top part has multiple parts with functioning redstone inside, and with a staircase leading up to get in, it's time to build this in survival. Once finished, I tested everything including the automatic storage dome. Now that we had the other projects working, I started to design the main build starting with the base frame. This build took the better part of a week to design, and I split it into multiple parts for convenience. The final product is over 100 by 100 by 100 blocks and consists of over 82,000 blocks, over 30 times as many blocks as the wooden factory from episode 1. This will be the heart of our new city, Lunaris. Each of the moon phases are embellished on top of the 8 pillars and is appropriately named for its ability to easily hold at least 4 villages worth of 92 villagers and 20 iron golems, with build modifying create mechanisms and 19 layers of automatic indoor farming. To start off collecting some of the resources that we need, I made enough mechanical crafters to make crushing wheels. These giant wheels will allow us to crush, most notably cobblestone, down into either gravel or sand. This is mainly for the concrete needed for the top moon phases. After using the gravel and sand to make concrete, I put it all through the washer and checked it off the list. I then worked on designing a new minecart contraption. I called this one Earthworm since it eats away at the earth in chunks and reminded me of a worm when I was placing all of the rails. I let it dig until it got to the bigger areas and then expanded its linear chassis and mechanical drills to mine the taller areas. Once it was done, we easily already had enough dirt needed for the farming layers of the build. It also gave us this nice large flat area to work with, and I continued to make the surrounding area by finishing the stone river cover. Once that was done, I let the minecart dig some more, and before long, we had an even larger flat area. The flat area was so large it highlighted some key features like the nearly fully intact shipwreck and huge vein of viridium right next to it. After mining some of the viridium myself, I sent in the minecart. I then had these friendly fellas waiting for me over by the storage area, and headed over to automate stone cutting with create mechanics. This will help us cut all of the stone needed for our massive build. Speaking of helping, this system of minecarts and couplers forms a great train for transporting items over to the build site. I also worked on collecting the small ticket items over time, like these 2 stacks of mechanical harvesters. I then came across a local dog and decided to tame it with some bones. I was also getting low on gunpowder, so instead of killing creepers, I started crushing and washing zinc ore mined from the new quarry. I let the earthworm keep eating away as the cleared area grew so large that it connected all 3 of our major waterfronts. Now that the area we needed to flatten was done, it was time to start building the main build. I set up a vault large enough to hold all of the items and made a double automatic loading system with create mechanics. Once all of the double chests were loaded, I started to print the build. It takes an entire Minecraft day just to place a 1 block layer of the build. All that was left was to place the shroom lights, with 1 in the star and some under the raising platform. Once the build was done, it was time to move in. But before I moved myself in, I wanted to grab some more sheep since all of the sheep from episode 1 got massacred one night by the local wolf population. While searching for sheep, I also came across 2 more wolves and tamed them. I brought them all back, and once I had all 3 dogs together, I dyed their collars fitting to the project colors while keeping the red one as our first dog. There was one more thing I wanted to take care of, that being this boat. I wanted to basically pull it out of where it's stuck and restore the missing parts later in another episode. This would be especially useful for when Valkyrien Skies is developed for this version, and allows us to use ships for mass transportation. So I glued the chunks around the boat together and pulled everything up out of the ground with a rope pulley. I mined away all of the excess dirt and stone around the boat and raised it up a little more to put this nice frame under it. I lowered the boat onto the frame and moved it over to the side. After filling in the hole, we had a nice flat area where it used to sit. Now that it was time for me to move in, I wanted to study the moon as quickly as possible. So I grabbed our important items from episode 1 and opened up the main observatory doors. With my dogs by my side and my items out, I stepped forward to make some key observations about the moon. Upon unlocking the Stargazer achievement, our book transformed into the Guide to Space Travel. We will explore this book and all of its mysterious wonders in the next episode. Thank you all very much for watching.